Hey, hi everybody. I am Chevi Jan today here with another live session. I hope people are joining me in. And I'm just waiting for everyone to join in. I hope you are liking my live sessions so far. And the last live session was on reading tips. I hope you have started applying a few of them in your actual life. Can you please write thumbs up if you are liking my live sessions and you enjoy learning something new from me? Hey, yay. I really feel nice when everybody turns up to listen to me. I hope everything is actually beneficial for all of you. So today I'm not going to waste a lot of time because my live sessions are going a bit over the board. So I want to keep it short and compact for you guys. So let's begin. Today's topic is, can we learn a second language as we learned our first? So this question is something that I think everybody ponders over, because for a child it is very easy to learn Hindi, as in they grasp it, we don't need to make so much of effort on it. But when it comes to any other language, be it English or French or Spanish, it takes a whole lot of effort to learn that language. Why? Anybody who has an answer for that? Hi everybody, those who are saying hi, you can show me hearts if you're liking the session. So basically, when there is a famous research that happened in 1977 by Stephen Karchen, this person is quite famous for doing his language research. So there is also a documentary where he had put all his research work together. That research is shown in a documentary by BBC Horizon, and it came out in 1983. So in that research, what I gather from watching his videos and understanding language and how a person grasps that language, so whatever I have concluded from it, I'm going to tell you, because I thought that it is quite important for you to know how we are approaching and learning English language. So basically what I noticed, most of the mothers are going technical with the English language. So first of all, in that article or in his videos, the first thing that he mentions is, why are we learning language as a subject? Why are we learning language as math, science or history? Why is that the case? I was given, I had goosebumps when I read that. Exactly, this is what is happening in our country. We are treating English as a subject, not as a language. We just need to score good marks in English language. Is that the only target we are left with? I don't think so, because I have fallen in love with this language and I love to take out more and more information about it, and this is how my teaching process is also progressing, because I love this language. I love to create new things out of it. I love to know more and more about it, and most importantly, when I'm teaching my students, I learn so much. So my process of learning this language is never going to end. So if you are going to compare this language learning with math, science, history or just scoring marks, I don't think so you'll be ever able to grasp this language perfectly. So the first rule is, stop taking it as a subject and fall in love with this language. Try to build that interest in this language, because language is basically this language helps you in communicating, in expressing yourself. So if that is your target, there are so many different ways of expression. Every individual is different and they will have different sort of expression, isn't it? So the language learning can never end, and the expression can be different at different intervals. So when you write a story, you write it differently, but when you write a letter, the expression is going to be different. So it's all about expression and how we are expressing it. So stop taking it as a subject and start developing interest in this language. And this is what you have to do with your kids as well, and even the adults. I would recommend to stop taking it as a learning process. You need to acquire the language. That's the next thing. Acquisition and learning. Learning is more or less a very rote learning kind of a thing, you can say. You go technical with it, you learn the grammar, it's basically a conscious effort that you put in order to learn the language. But when you want to acquire a language, so imagine a child who's born, he doesn't speak for like 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years, or maybe sometimes the kids even take longer to actually start speaking. So what is happening with them? They are observing, they are acquiring the language, not learning the language. They are observing, noticing everybody around, and then this is the acquisition process is happening with them. So this is what we need to do, adults as well as parents. Do not push them to learn grammar rules. Do not push them or do not push yourself to learn these grammar rules, or making vocabulary, learn vocabulary every other day. So I think till the time the action is not there, they are never going to learn. So I make it's compulsory in my classes to maintain a vocabulary notebook, and I think all the mothers are aware and even the students are aware that vocabulary is something Chevi ma'am is quite strict about. So why do I do that? Sometimes the students, they just write word meanings. Do we need to learn meanings, or do we need to know the application of every word? So that is why I ask my students to make sentences always, and I want them to use in their everyday language. Until and unless you are not making the use of the vocabulary words that are taught to you in the class, or you find it somewhere else, you are never going to retain it in your mind. So that's the process. That's the second trick, that don't push yourself to learn something. Try to acquire it. And how the acquisition will happen, when you see something, when you listen to something, you are going to be observant about it. So once you become observant about it, you are going to pick up many things. So this is what happens in my classes also. So what I do, I give them practical approach to learn this language. For example, the other month I asked students to watch an English TV show and pick 5 words from there. So when they are watching, they are entertaining themselves, and they are going to pick up those words which are used in our daily language, or which the native speakers use in their daily language, right? We are going to pick up those words. So I try that my students acquire the language rather than just learning the grammar. So I myself do not like teaching grammar so much, because it is super technical and boring sometimes. If I want to do it, I need to do it with fun activities. That's how I include activities in my classes, because I want my students to like this language, not grasp it as a subject. I do a lot of activities in order to develop students' interest in this language. They should be able to process themselves. They should start developing their language skills on their own. I want to make them self-sufficient. So that is why we do different sort of activities. Like the other time we wrote a letter to a fictional character, writing letter to an editor, writing a complaint letter, writing a letter to the principal. All of these are sort of a burden and a pressure on students. So we go differently, so that the curiosity, the excitement is there in the heart of every child. So when you're talking to your fictional character, how exciting that would be. First of all, you will engage yourself in reading, finding your fictional character. Engaging in reading is also a plus point for learning the language. And then, of course, talking to your fictional character, you are enhancing your creativity. You are building more interest. Thank you so much. It was so good. You're the best, Chevi ma'am. Thank you so much. So something that I really enjoy. developing the process and finding new activities. I love that. I love that process of making lesson plans for my kids. So this is what Stephen Krashen, who is a famous linguist, also mentions, that do not learn this language, rather acquire it with a lot of fun activities. Develop your interest in learning this language. So that is why this is my terminology: fall in love with the language. So let's go on to the next point, that is about how will this process of acquiring will happen. So acquiring will happen in different stages. The first one is understanding messages. So if you see a small child also, he or she will not speak initially, but he or she will understand you. Like my daughter is so young, she's 3 years old, and my mate's daughter is just 1 year old. So what I noticed, Avishi has started speaking now. She frames complete sentences. But the other girl, who is 1 year old, she understands everything. Whatever we'll ask her to do, she'll start doing it. But she doesn't respond. She doesn't express herself because she's acquiring the language. This is what you need to do with yourself, with your kids. That you... Thank you, Diva Malhotra. Thank you for the point. So I'm simply saying that she is not able to express herself because she is in the process of acquisition. The action will come later on for her. You need to expose your kids, you need to expose yourself to the reading material and listening material. Maybe it's an entertainment sort of a thing. Hand over a comic book to your child. If the child is not interested in reading, you can hand over a comic book, or just start watching English cartoons like Boss Baby. I always tell my students to stop watching Hindi TV shows. If you want to acquire this language, if you want to be fluent in this language, you need to expose yourself to different surroundings where English is used. I think that's the best strategy for yourself. Introduce reading in your daily routine. Introduce watching English TV series in your routine. So that's the best way that you can acquire this language. And then once you start enjoying the process of watching English TV shows or reading books, start grasping things. The grasping happens automatically as well, but sometimes you just need to put a little more conscious effort to pick up a phrase, to pick different sort of vocabulary from there and use in your daily language. So what I tell my kids, or what I do it with myself, I pick a word. This month's word was rhodomontade. I learned it from my student. He was watching Shashi Tharoor's video the other day and he gave me this word rhodomontade. I didn't know the meaning of it either. So it was a learning process. So this month, my word is rhodomontade. So I'm using it, putting it everywhere. And I think my students does that too. I've seen many videos where students are using this word again and again. So this is what you are doing. The action, acquisition of a language is about where the action is, inverted commas, where the action is. When you start putting that in your daily skills, in your daily use, you're definitely going to learn. Okay, so moving on. Yes, the other thing is most of the parents become little apprehensive when the child is speaking English but incorrectly. So they don't want to introduce them to the students or to the kids or to the people, those who are fluent and they're speaking correct grammar. I think that's completely wrong. I always tell parents that I will encourage the child first to speak and then I will work on their grammar skills. First, he needs to understand, he needs to observe the surrounding of English language, you know, the environment where English is used mostly. So when you are exposed to that environment, you need to let that person be. Whatever grammar error he or she is making, just let them make those errors. You know, when a child, let's compare it to the child learning the first language. So the child who is small, they will start with words. And for example, you know, say daddy, daddy, rather than saying there is a fish in the water, they'll say fish water. Fish, they know what is fish. So they'll say fish, water. And then you can simply respond, yes baby, I can see fish in the water. So you have just not told them that you were speaking the sentence incorrectly, but you have yourself spoken the sentence correctly. So it will automatically go in their brain that this is the correct use. But if you tell them, no bache, you are not speaking correctly, you are making too many errors, that the student or the child will start losing confidence in speaking that language. I've seen most of the parents, those who are forcing their kids to converse in this language, first develop their interest, and then you communicate with them in English, then automatically they'll start doing it. I noticed my daughter, she has started framing sentences in English because she watches me communicating in English most of the time. So she is learning English as her first language. Of course, she's better at Hindi, but then of course she is picking up the sentences. That is why the school teachers, they try to communicate only in English so that the acquisition that should happen. So don't go technical with the kids, those who are just in the process of those who are introduced to this language at 3rd or 4th grade. So just don't put pressure on them to be good at grammar. Now in my classes also, of course you have to be good at grammar, right, in order to be fluent, in order to be more confident. So whenever a new child comes in my classes, I always encourage them to speak. There are students who are better at grammar, better at vocabulary, but then I always take new enrollments in every month. I judge their performance according to their capability, not according or building comparison between two kids. Why is that so? Because I feel the child who has learned so many things from me will respond differently, and the child who is just new to these things will respond differently. My motive is to give them encouragement that yes, you can talk in this language no matter what. Once that confidence is built, then of course I have to point out their grammar errors, I have to go technical about the language and raise the level up and start telling them, okay, these were the errors over there. And this is how you should also go about. Okay, moving on. So then Stephen Carson also mentioned about the reading level. I do not mind starting a child with level 1 of reading, even if that child is in 5th or 6th grade. It really doesn't matter. So don't go by the class. I always go by the level of English. In my advanced batch, there are students, those who are in 6th grade and those who are in 11th grade as well. In advanced batch, why that's a huge difference. A 6th grade student and an 11th grade student will have a different sort of capability. But no, it's about the level of English that they have and the level of response that they can give to others. So I always take enrollments on the basis of the levels and don't go by the grade. I do make some sort of judgment, okay, this person will be capable enough to respond in this manner because of this grade. Yes, that judgment is of course there, but you cannot always put this as the first rule. Your first rule definitely should be judging their reading level. Start with level 1 of reading, build their interest, and slowly you can raise the level up. Understanding the level is very, very important. And I think there was some French teacher who is currently watching me. So in French also, there are different levels that you need to achieve, isn't it? Am I right? If she's still here, you can respond. So French, we have to achieve when we learn French or when we go to take tuitions for French language. So we have to clear the levels of French. So we need to understand the level of English as well, what a child has or what we as an adult have. So most of the mothers, they sometimes ask me, don't you have any batch for mothers? We also want to learn this language. They are fluent in this language, still they want to learn more about it or be more confident about it. So judge your reading level, judge your level of English and start from there. So reading level, identifying the right sort of level of English is quite important, and then you have to make progress accordingly. Moving on. So this was something quite interesting. The next point is quite interesting, the silent period. I was quite amazed with this point. Do you know what the silent period is? The silent period basically means sometimes a child becomes reluctant all of a sudden to respond in the class. If that happens, it happens so many times in my classes. So that silent period is essential. Why? Because in that process, the child or an adult is trying to acquire the language, to take aback, understand every process that is happening around. And once the process of acquiring is complete, they'll start responding. They'll start responding in a better way. Maybe, they are making their notes in their brain. They're making their subconscious notes, or they're jotting down many things, and they're staying calm and composed. Maybe when they feel confident about it, they'll start responding. So this is what you can do as an adult also. You can do this to yourself. You can start jotting down the things that you want to do certain things in this language, or maybe you're watching series, you're reading, just make a few notes for yourself. And once you start feeling confident about it, you can start conversing. Isn't that a good point? The silent period. We all need a silent period sometimes to come out of our stress. We need to go in that zone to not to communicate with anyone, just to get rid of or to make peace with yourself. So this is what happens with the language as well. I think it was a wonderful point. I hope you liked it. Another thing that I have already mentioned, exposing them to real surroundings. Always expose them to a surrounding where the people are actually communicating in whatever language you are learning. Be it English, be it French. So if you want to learn French, you need to watch more videos on French. Thank you so much. Somebody said you're the best teacher. Okay. So next point is adults versus kids. So why kids are better at processing this language in their brain, and why adults are a bit reluctant? Anybody can answer this one? I will definitely show my bookshelf, but let me complete the topic. So adults are basically, they are reluctant to converse in this language because of the anxiety that they have. When a child is learning a language, the anxiety, they don't know what anxiety is, isn't it? They don't know what people are thinking about them. They are just simply saying, kids are more fast learners. Okay, yeah, kids are definitely fast learners. But then there is another thing about kids. They don't know who is thinking about them in what manner. Yeah, because of their consciousness. Exactly. Sumegha, well done. That's the right answer. So adults are more conscious. What will people think about us if we'll say something wrong? It is okay. It's okay, completely all right, that if you make errors, because you are learning this language, you are acquiring this language, you are new to this language. So don't put yourself under pressure that people are going to judge you for your communication skills. I think everybody can do that. Everybody can bring change in them if they really want to. And so exposing yourself to different sort of surrounding and reducing the pressure. Kids do not have that sort of pressure or anxiety in them in comparison to adults. So if adults really want to learn this language, to get hold of this language, they just need to stop their anxiety levels, reduce their anxiety levels, stop thinking what others are going to say about them. So adults versus next. What's next? So he said that do not make language learning a conscious effort. He says don't make it rote learning the grammar rules. Don't make it like that. Just make it a fun way of learning, even by yourself, even with your kids. So this is what the practicality of the things will come. That if you want your child, if they're joining my classes, I try to build their interest with various activities. Do not stop those activities at home. try to use the activities. Now parents are lucky, you know, everything is online. They can see the activities that are going on in their online classes. They can implement those things at home as well. For example, the other day I asked a girl who used to make so many spelling errors. I think she still makes so many spelling errors. So what I asked her to do, just pick up a chart paper, write it in a very fancy way on that chart paper, whatever spellings you are unable to retain, and put that chart paper on your mirror. You know, paste it somewhere that you can see every day. So when you're watching these words, in, you know, you're doing your calligraphy skills, you're writing those spellings, you're making it fun way of learning, the retention will be better, isn't it? So the retention will be better. So try to implement those fun ways of learning. And even, you know, last time also I mentioned that reading will not come, okay, let's start reading. You have to read. You will read. You will read before your bedtime. These are the books that you have to finish it in a day. I'm sorry, that's not going to work. You have to establish a fun way of getting involved in this language. So most of the parents, I feel honored when the parents say this thing to me, that all of a sudden she has developed so much interest in this language. How come? Because I actually delve in this process of building their interest. My classes are not only about grammar classes, just, you know, delivering the grammar portion. It's more about that, and we explore language in different sort of ways. For example, this month it is going to be listening skills, reading skills. So reading skills doesn't mean they don't mean that I have to pick up a paragraph and they have to solve it. You know, I give them a paragraph and they'll solve it. No, it is going to be much more. It is going to be a fun way of exploring reading. There will be a technique that will be taught to them. There will be other activities that will be based on that reading, so that they start developing interest in solving reading comprehension passages. So this is what my target is always. So listening skills also, why do I practice listening skills in my class? Because I want them to notice language wherever they go. Noticing the language. This is what we are taught in our teacher training seminars also. Noticing the language. This is what you need to teach your students, that start noticing the language. So when they are listening, if we'll practice that in the class, and there will be fun conversation that will be played to them. So automatically, whenever, you know, they'll go in a different sort of environment except their class, they will be listening to the things that might interest them, that might help them in writing a paragraph, that might help them in their conversation. So my classes are not about jotting down 1, 2, 3, 4 words. It's also about idioms. It's also about phrases. It's also about different sort of things that we need to communicate well in this language. I will come soon. I hope this makes a lot of sense for you. I'll just give a quick recap to what I all mentioned. Just want to check if I skipped anything. No. So Stephen Carson, who's a linguist, this is completely based on his research and whatever videos I have watched from all the YouTube videos that I have watched from him. And this was taught to us in our teacher training seminar, that we need to understand how this language should be taught, rather than, you know, just making them jotting down the rules. Make it a fun exercise for them so that they fall in love with this language. So first thing, stop treating it as a subject. It's not math, science or history. It's a learning process throughout your life. Language is something like that. So if you will try to build your interest in it, automatically your process of communicating in this language will become easier. Do not go too technical. If the child is already reluctant to speak this language, you can be a bit easy. Just let them communicate, and then slowly we can make progress in going. First, let them, you know, let them bring that action for conversing in this language, and then try to improve the structure of it. This is how it works with the small kid as well. We need to make it fun learning process rather than putting a pressure or increasing the anxiety of the child in order to acquire this language. Expose them to different sort of things. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sanvi. So thank you everybody. So be a good reader, try to fall in love with literature. This is what I would say. And Abhishek sir, that was for you. So fall in love with literature. I am a big fan of literature. I love literature because I love how different people express themselves, and that is why I think I'm able to put that in my kids' head as well. So expression, different ways of expression, this is what you need to learn in order to be best at this English language. And I think that's all about it. Any questions? I would like to answer a few questions if you have before I go today. So I don't have any fun activity for kids this time. So this was more of a technical topic and for the parents to understand that learning is a fun process, or language learning is a fun process. Acquire the language, expose yourself to different surroundings. Thank you. Thank you, Sumekha. Thank you for the compliment. Okay, any questions that you have? Somebody wanted to see my bookshelf. So I have different genres. I have exposed myself to different genres. So I have Rumi, I have Sudha Murthy, I have Dale Carnegie, and so many others. I read Indian authors as well, like Calling Semath is also lying there, and Matt Hilton, Murakami. I have different authors. Anything else that you need to know? I hope my topic was quite clear. If the adults are watching this live video, I would simply suggest them, sorry, I don't have any batch for adults as of now, but you can try the activities that I put on my page or as a post. You can try those activities at home yourself in front of the mirror and expose yourself to the real life surroundings where this language is used commonly. So in this COVID times, I don't think so that's feasible. So what you can do, you can watch more of English videos. Just keep yourself exposed to that sort of environment, whichever language you're learning. So exposing yourself to English language would be the best way. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining me, and I would take your leave. I really like whenever you come over here and give me those hearts. Thank you so much.